Tiny Alevins drift from the river gravel, fragile with their glowing yolk sacs, and for trout, it's a feast fit for a king. Stick around and I'll show you how to tie the SemperFur Alevin. This fly will be guaranteed to catch you some fish. Secure a size 8 partridge straight eye grub hook in the vise. Now take your floral orange Semperfly classic wax thread and tie it in just behind the eye. Trim off that waist, and then let's add some sparkle to this fly with some Semperfly mirror tinsel. Now you're going to wrap this tinsel all the way down the shank to about a quarter way through the bend. Then you're going to need to come back up with touching turns, making a nice smooth body. And now the magic happens. We're going to wrap this mirror tinsel back up in overlapping turns, completely covering that thread body. Hey, join this channel and subscribe for more killer patterns, tying tricks, and just overall fly tying talk. Don't forget to hit subscribe and be part of the fanatic fly tying crew. Now a couple turns of thread to secure that flash off. And now we're going to come in, trim off the excess, and go straight into a whip finish to secure this. Go ahead and snip off the thread. And now we're going to take some Solar Res Bone Dry and we're going to coat that entire body wherever the mirror tinsel is. This will add some durability to the fly and really seal in that flavor. All right, grab your black classic wax thread and start just behind the eye of the hook. Give it a few tight wraps, lock it in, and snip off that waist tag, clean and tidy. Next, we're going to grab a clump of SemperFur. About a quarter of a pencil's thickness is all you need. Now take a lice brush or fine comb and let's pull out all that underfur. This step is really important. It removes the bulk and lets the fly really come alive and move naturally in the water. And now you can see that those tips aren't quite aligned yet, so we'll need to do a bit of hand stacking. Just pull the fibers, pull the ends out, and realign the tips. It might take a few goes to get everything nice and even, but it's worth it. This will make your wing look perfect. There you go, a perfectly stacked wing. Nice work. Now I want to measure this about 3 times the length of the hook. Tie that SemperFur directly on top of the hook shank, taking your time to make sure it's nice, sitting nice and straight. Perfect alignment here really makes a difference in the finished fly and how it swims. Once it's secure, you're going to trim off the waist at a slight angle. This gives you a smooth, even thread ramp for a clean head area. Now, tidy up the head a bit, and then we're going to add some flash. Grab one strand of SemperFly Crystal Flash. I like to tie it in a V on both sides of the hook. This will help to mimic the lateral line of a baitfish perfectly. Now that that's secured in, let's go ahead and cut it to length. I like it just a little bit longer than the wing. Next up, grab some grizzly SemperFur. We're going to stack the same way as we did before, pulling out that underfur and hand stacking the fiber so all those tips line up nice and even. Once you got it looking good, tie it in right on top of the hook, directly over the first wing. This adds beautiful contrast and gives the fly a lifelike layered profile that really stands out in the water. Trim that at an angle, and let's go ahead and take some time and really clean up that head and make sure it's looking good for the next step. Now we got to add in the yolk sac. For this, grab some SemperFly Glow Bright Floss. I'm using 2 strands, doubling it up to really make that color pop. Tie it in right on the underside of the hook, right behind the eye, and then we're going to wrap the thread back to secure it. This adds that perfect touch of realism, just like the fresh fry with that bright yolk glowing underneath. It's a small detail, but this is what really gives that attraction to the trout and adds that little bit of realism. We're going to go ahead and clean up the head and whip finish, and we are done with thread for now. So go ahead and snip that off nice and close. And then we're going to go ahead and measure and cut the yolk sac. So I like to turn the fly over, and I want the yolk sac to be about to the point where it hits the point of the hook. I pull really tight and cut it, and this will help the material fray out and sit like it's supposed to. Now we're going to add some 3mm stick-on eyes. Adding eyes is a little bit of a tedious task on any sort of a bait fish kind of a pattern. The eyes do take a little bit of finicking to get them to line up right, but it's really important to take the time and move them around just so that they line up. One, it's visually appealing, but two, which is more important, if they're off, the flies won't swim correctly when you go ahead and UV the eyes in. So take a minute, take your time, get it right the first time. Now let's seal this all off with some UV resin. I'm using some bone dry here, which is really thin UV resin, and I like that for these flies because the medium and the thick just add too much bulk. I want this to be a really thin, low profile fly, and to do this, it just takes a couple coats of the bone dry. And after each coat, you cure it, and it'll make it for the fly indestructible and will last forever. A quick pass of a lighter will burn off all those frayed ends that you get with any craft fur. If you enjoyed this tie, don't forget to hit that like button, drop a comment below, and subscribe for more fly tying videos just like this one.